What is AI? I think you call it narrow AI, the sort that we're quite familiar with. Limited intelligence, but highly focused on narrow areas. What is artificial general intelligence? How would you explain it to a layman?
Well, the first thing to realize is that the word artificial in the phrase artificial intelligence is real. Narrow AI system is a system involving a high-powered computer, a huge database, and an algorithm that does some picking and choosing, whose output is something that it normally requires human intelligence to do. Let's take an example that is very important these days in medicine, and that's X-ray, interpreting X-rays. So we have a database. Let's say it has 1 million X-rays of lungs that are infected with various diseases, say related to COVID-19. They are then labeled in the database by the world's top experts. Then they take an X-ray of your lungs or my lungs, and the algorithm compares the X-ray of your lungs with the million very rapidly, and it produces an output which says John Anderson has got that disease. Now, at the moment, that kind of thing, which is being rolled out not only in radiology but all over the place, will generally give you a better result than your local hospital will. And that's hugely important and hugely valuable. But the point is, the machine is not intelligent. It's only doing what it's programmed to do. The database is not intelligence. The intelligence is the intelligence of the people that designed the computer, know about X-rays and know about medicine. But the output is what you would expect from an intelligent doctor. So it's in that sense artificial. Narrow in the sense it only deals with one thing. And all kinds, endless kinds of systems are being rolled out around the world. And some of them, as you mentioned, are extremely beneficial. Narrow AI has been used in the development of vaccines, and the spin-off from that technology is enormous in drug development. Most of us voluntarily are wearing, first of all, a tracker. It's called a smartphone.
Yes.
It knows where we are. It could be even recording what we're saying. But what it does do, of which we're all aware, is if we, for example, buy a book on Amazon, we'll very soon get little pop-ups that say people that bought that book are usually interested in this book. And what's happening there is the AI system is creating a database of your preferences, your interests, your likes, your purchases, and is using that to compare with its vast database of available things for sale so that it predicts what you might like. So this is of huge commercial value. And it leads to something else which most of us don't know about, and we can come to that later, but I'll mention it now, which is called surveillance capitalism. Global corporations are using your data and without your permission are selling it off to third parties and making a lot of money out of it. And that raises deep privacy issues. So now you're straight into the ethics. So that's narrow AI.
What's happening in China using artificial intelligence to surveil people is astonishing. But in many ways, all that information is being collected in the West as well. It's just not collated in the same way.
That's correct. And this is perhaps one of the scariest aspects of it. What we're talking about here is facial recognition by closed-circuit television. Well, it starts with facial recognition, but we've now got to the stage where in China in particular, they can recognize you from the back, by your gait, by all kinds of things. And what has happened is, and you can see the positive benefit. Police want to arrest criminals or thugs or rowdies even in a football crowd. And so using facial recognition technology, they can pick a person out and arrest him or her. Well, okay. But what it can be used for good purposes in that sense in keeping law and order can also become, particularly in an autocratic state, become an instrument of control. Here's the huge dilemma. How much of your privacy are you prepared to sacrifice for security? There's a tension between those two things. Now, in China, you mentioned, and you're probably thinking about Xinjiang, where you've got a minority, a Muslim minority of Uyghur people. The surveillance level on them is unbelievable. Every few hundred meters down the street, they have to stop. They have to hand in their smartphones. The smartphones are loaded with all kinds of stuff by the government. Their houses have QR codes outside them as to how many people live there and all this kind of thing. And I don't know how many, it's way over 1 million, I believe, are being held as a result of what is being picked up by artificial intelligence systems in re-education centres. And the suspicion is that the culture is being destroyed and eradicated. That's the one hand. That's in one particular province. But elsewhere in China, we have now the social credit system that apparently will be rolled out in the entire country. We're given, say, you and I were given to start with, let's say, 300 social credit points. And we're being trailed. If we fail to put our rubbish trash can out at night, there'll be marks against us. If we go to somewhere dubious or mix with someone whose political loyalties are suspect, we'll get more negative points. On the other hand, if we pay our debts on time and go green, so to speak, and all this kind of thing, we will amass more credit points. And then, if we are going negative, the penalties kick in. We'll discover we can't get into our favourite restaurant. We'll discover we don't get that promotion or don't even get that job we apply for, or that we can't travel, or that we can't even have a credit card. And this is being rolled out, and the list of penalties and things that have actually been recorded is just very serious. Now, what amazed me when I first came across this was the fact that many people welcome this. They think it's wonderful. They boast, I've got 1,000 points. How many have you got? And they don't realize that the whole of life is becoming controlled in the interest, ostensibly, of having a healthy society.